Experience with Air One heating and cooling in London was absolutely atrocious. They endangered the lives of our family, our children, and our home by not turning off the gas, by not turning off the electricity. They left steel and metal in our children's playroom for our children to find. They totally negate their customers and their customers' complaints and concerns. Our experience with this company has been uh, overwhelmingly disappointing, and their ability and willingness to resolve the issues that they cause has been very bad. Well, we had several quotes to try and find the best system and decent price and decent company, and they came in at they were the best price for what seemed to be the best system, and they assured us that it was going to be a professional install. And when it came the day of it was supposed to be installed, we got a call to say that they couldn't do it that day, and they were going to come 2 days later. Then when they did show up 2 days later, it was an hour and a half later than they said. And I figured, well, they had to drive half hour, or maybe they had some other issues or picking up stuff on the way. When they finally did get here and started working, the everything seemed okay at first, and I was out in the backyard with our three babies, and all of a sudden I hear this hammer drill going like mad, and I thought they were going to be drilling through the aluminum siding and the wood, which you'd normally just use a regular hole saw for. Um, Turns out the gentleman was using a masonry bit on a concrete hammer drill to go through our wood structure of our house and our aluminum siding. So it took well over an hour, hour and a half from to drill three holes. It normally would have been about 5 minutes a hole using the proper tools. And also because it was a hammer drill and bashing around with the wrong bit, he destroyed the siding. Instead of having three holes for the three different pieces to come through for the air conditioning on the outside of the house, we ended up with one great big gash that goes right across about 10, 12 inches. Top of that, the gentleman that was working inside, I guess he figured that he was going to be able to change the gas valve quickly enough that no one would notice that he didn't shut off the gas outside. Ended up having, I guess he had a problem getting it. Either didn't have the right valve ready or didn't have the tape ready or something, and ended up being the gas left open in our house for 5 to 10 minutes. So I ended up running around, opening up all the windows and blocking the doors open, and making sure that my three babies that were having naps at the time were okay. And before going down to kind of say what's going on, and the guy's only response was, "Oh, it'll just be another second or two." Meanwhile, there was a lock on our gas meter that we'd put there several years ago due to some vandalism in the area and people shutting off gas. So I knew that he hadn't turned off the gas. There was also some other very big safety issues. When they finished at the end of the day, we weren't at home because we were out for our 1-year-old's birthday, and we came home, and the first thing the children want to do is, see what all the work was done downstairs. So we had ushered the children into their playroom, which is basically the first room you come into in the basement before you go to the furnace room, and basically put the kids down in their playroom to play for a few minutes while I went to make sure that the furnace room was safe and everything had been cleaned up. Well, it seems that they'd used the children's playroom to do all the metal work for the ducts for the new furnace and air conditioning, and had left a bunch of the very sharp steel shards and snippets in my children's playroom that my 1-year-old baby found. Scream that I never want to hear from my wife again when she saw that. Basically, very quickly distract and try and get that out of the child's mouth, because the first thing, her hand, because the first thing a 1-year-old wants to do with anything they get in their hand is put it in their mouth. And you don't want that with a 5-inch shard of steel. So we got the kids out, got that cleaned up. One of the other things that they did was they didn't turn off the electricity while they were working at 250 30 volts, 100 amp service. So um, just to add a little more uh, fire to the rest of the issues. Um, they were back 5 visits to try and get the air conditioning to operate without leaking water. Um, they were finally able to do so after turning the blower fan down to less than 50% of what it's supposed to run at to run the air conditioning. So there was obviously an issue with how they installed the air conditioning coil and the drip pans around it, so that it isn't functioning properly, and that ductwork and unit needs to be reinstalled for it to be able to run properly. On the furnace side, the night we looked at it, we noticed that the air filter box that the return air comes through before it goes into the furnace was actually pulled out from the furnace about an inch, inch and a half, just sitting there. So the air wasn't coming into the furnace through the rest of the house the way it's supposed to. It was just being taken from our furnace room. Their second visit to the house, they basically used special crimp tools and forced that into the furnace, which caused the ductwork at the top of where they'd attached to pull away, because it seems that the measurements for that ductwork they made were incorrect. So we're looking at some big dollars to fix the damage they've created, as well as probably almost as much as we paid them to install the system, to have somebody else come in and reinstall it properly. Yeah, we'd actually had 5 quotes from several other suppliers in the area, 2 of which are very close to our house in town here, that we've had dealings with in the past, that were reputable companies that we trusted. But the way that the current rebates work and the system that Aire was offering, and the price they were offering it for, it was probably $500 to $1,000 difference from what the other dealers in town were here. And we figured, maybe it was just because we're in a smaller town, captive market, where you figure they might have just had a little more profit in what they were quoting here in town compared to what the big dealer, which is Aire up in London, was quoting us. And it seems that the real difference wasn't more the size of the company, was more the quality of the install and how they conduct their business. Yeah, I mean, the first day we basically sent an email 1.5 pages long with the issues and mainly the safety concerns, so that they could deal with their employees going forward, and so that, the last thing we'd want to see is us not telling them and then hearing in the news a week later that somebody's blown up a house or somebody's child has been maimed or worse because of this installer's actions. And their response back to that was basically, we're sorry, we'll look after these other issues, but we don't believe that our employees don't clean up. They always clean up. They're great employees. We've never had a problem with them. And basically I sent the pictures. I told them about the lock on the gas meter, so obviously they couldn't have done that. And that's why I'd asked them to tell me when they needed to do the gas. The business operator didn't even bother to contact me or to come out and visit us until after we'd had 5 other sets of their employees out to try and deal with the rest of the mess from the initial installation. And when he came out, basically he was offering, we'll give you free service, we'll give you free air filters, we can have the guys come and clean up for what they didn't clean up, or we can have them come and paint the ceiling that they damaged, or just, basically trying to talk his way out of actually dealing with the issues and dealing with the liability that they'd caused, which was disappointing. And we've also gone through the Better Business Bureau, which we're still in dealing with now. And it looks like, from the way this business operator acts and the fairy tales that seem to come out of his mouth and writing, we're going to end up having to take the large sum of evidence that we have and take this to court to try and get it dealt with. I'm hoping that other people that are considering using this company, or even looking into the same types of systems and that we've had installed in our house, hoping that they actually look online for the reviews and the ratings on Google and other rating systems that people use, to make sure they're getting a good quality install, because that can be 10 times more important than the system that you buy or the price that you pay for it.